Hello, my name is Mo. I'm a host on the show Talk with Mo. It's a talk show. I'm from Canada, and this is my first time visiting Australia. And I can't help but celebrate women because a few days ago on March 8th, we celebrated International Women's Day all over the world. And when I see women like you working, I want you to know that we celebrate you, we admire you, your tenacity, and your hard work every day. So I know that you were wondering if you look beautiful enough on camera, but there you go. You are beautiful, and you are so much appreciated. So I want you to say hello to some people.
Hello, everyone.
And where are you from?
I'm from Fiji.
You're from Fiji, and you work here.
I work here in
Yeah. How long have you been in Australia?
6 months.
6 months. Wow, wonderful. Do you go home often?
No.
Are you married? No. Kids?
Yeah, I have one.
You have one. Is the kid here with you?
No.
No. Well, you see, you're working to support family, and that is what we want to celebrate. So know that you're celebrated, and we appreciate you. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you for a few minutes. God bless you. Take care.
My name is Manava. I am a driver guide, but officially not working today.
You're not working today. All right.
So I'm
And
just joining to with you guys.
yeah, and whereabouts are you from?
I'm from the Torres Strait Island, Thursday Island. It's the main hub of the Torres Straits. Nobody knows about the Torres Strait Islands, but we are the most northern tip of Australia.
Northern tip of Australia.
Yes, there
Wow.
are a group of islands that are scattered between Australia, the tip of Australia, and PNG,
Wow.
Papua New Guinea. We are not exactly on the map. No one knows about us just yet.
Interesting. Wow. What's the population? What's the size like?
Yulara, if you've been there for a while, it's probably 5 times the community.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a little island, but to walk all the way around it, probably 2 hours.
Yeah, and you say you're a tour guide.
Yes, I am.
So, did you have to study to become a tour guide?
I've
or-
just started.
You just started. Wonderful.
This is actually a
Congratulations.
visual for me.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, what's life like as a native when you have to transition dealing with people from outside of your community?
Well, us Torres Strait Islanders, we are considered as the minority of the minority of Australia. So when it comes to Aboriginal culture, I'm not very sure about that, but to my culture, it's different again.
Okay. So, are you considered native or Aboriginal, or what would
Indigenous.
people? Indigenous. That's the
Yes.
word. That's the word. Wonderful. So, education is
Education
allowed.
is, yes, it's good. It's very well up in Torres Straits. English is a main thing for us because we do a lot of tourism back home as well.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a lot of storytelling there, like all over Australia. Everywhere you walk on this land is very spiritual and cultural.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's been nice meeting you, and thank you for just speaking with me and
Thank you very
my
much.
viewers. So we'll certainly be keeping in touch and staying
Yes, I will.
connected. Just watching the sun rise. It's 6:43 a.m. The sun is supposed to rise at 6:44 a.m. So we're just here waiting for the sun to rise in all of its glory. As I watch the sun rising, looking at the sun, I am reminded that everyone, every woman, every man, every child has a season to rise just like the sun. And you know, the sun cannot hide its shine. And I hope that as you're watching this today, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you will arise and shine. Nothing can stop your shine. So you have a great day. Know that you're loved. Know that you're appreciated.
it's been such a pleasure spending half of the day with you both
thank
as
you.
our tour guides to the beautiful Litchfield and Wangai Falls.
Yeah.
And I'm the host on Talking More Show. I know I had introduced myself earlier, but I was just fascinated by both of you for obvious reasons. You are Aboriginal. Is that how you identify Aboriginal?
Yes.
Okay. So you are an Aboriginal and you are
White fella.
you're white. Yeah, you're a white fella.
British descent.
And you are married.
Yes.
But what struck me most was your fluency of English
Oh.
and your education.
Oh.
The fact that both of you have been married for 25 years. So I just thought, you know what? Many times we have perceptions and people are dying to ask questions, but they never get to ask those questions.
Yeah.
So I am so honored that I get to ask those questions that people might be wanting to know. So you've been married 25 years. How did you meet?
It was a two friends at Uluru National Park, and I was a ranger there.
You're a ranger there. Okay.
And this was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we were both a long way from home.
From yeah, and you are native to
Yes, here.
here.
Yeah.
And so when you were working as a park ranger,
Yes, as a park ranger.
Yeah.
In Uluru National Park.
yes. Now, did you need to study? Did you need
Oh
to
yes,
go to
definitely
school
studied.
to do that?
Yes, and I studied in the university in Darwin, and I did a track down in Uluru National Park. Yeah.
Now, the reason I wanted to speak with you and share your story is because lots of people hear about Aboriginal people and there's a perception they're not educated, they don't look like you. So I wanted you to share a bit about that and what struggles you have faced as an Aboriginal person.
Yeah, there's a lot of struggles, but there's also good opportunities for Aboriginal people out there on what you want to do in your life, whether if you want to be a teacher or a doctor or even a park ranger. You still need to have those skills and qualifications, and it's also good that when we see other Aboriginal people already in that role, it's like for us it's an inspiration for us to think, oh yeah, we can do that. So we need to also support our families if they want to go down that direction, or we want to also look at try to make it better in that space if we want to. So
Wondering, you talked about seeing people doing different roles or working in different roles and being inspired by them.
yeah,
So
definitely.
who was your inspiration?
My inspiration was the animal people in Central Australia when I saw them at the time when they were doing their cultural tours, and that definitely inspired me. Even though I was a park ranger there, I've been watching them old people going in and out of the bus, talking to tourists, talking about their country and everything. I was like, oh my god, that's what I'd like to do. So after many years of being a park ranger, I was talking to Greg at the time, but he was still working for parks, and I said, look, let's go into tourism because I think it's one of the best things that Aboriginal people can, work in that space. So anyway, so that's where my inspiration came from.
Yeah, sometimes there are challenges because we have different, we come from different belief systems, different backgrounds and so on, but in a way that we complement each other because of the different, educations we've had and the different ways we see the world and that sort of thing. So it actually works well in many ways.
And because we run a tour together, it, like Greg said, we talk about the natural things and cultural stuff, and it really definitely complements each other.
Yes. Now, for someone like me who have no knowledge about Aboriginal people, the perception is you're not allowed to marry outside of your tribe. Is that true? Was there pushback?
My grandfather is white, and he did marry my grandmother in the church over in Botanical Gardens, and that's where the places were now Eagles Cafe. So there were challenges back then. We don't really find that the challenges now because
Okay. Well, so you've been doing this tour, and you did say that you were the only one doing this,
Oh, yeah,
offering this
definitely.
now. So for someone like me, I'm worried about the continuity. So if my kids were interested in coming to Darwin and doing the Litchfield tour in say 5 years, what happens if there's, how are you being intentional about recruiting someone to take over from you, or what are you doing about that problem?
Definitely.
It is a problem.
Well, our plans are always trying to encourage Aboriginal people to step in our shoes to hopefully become tour operators just like us, because we want to inspire them, but we also want to make sure that we want to be here within 5 years and more, because we enjoy the industry as well.
Yeah. We're always looking for people. And,
Yeah.
we certainly hope to find some more people too. And we've got a few vehicles now. We could be running several tours at once, really, if we find some drivers. And
Yeah.
we're working with some training organisations to get people recruited and trained up, and so that they can tell their stories to people on tours. And actually, our son's probably going to be working at this very hotel here in the next few months.
Okay, that's wonderful. I mean, we had a lot of benefit with your history today. We learned a lot about the Aboriginal people because it's
Yeah.
your history, so it's easier to tell.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing anything about intentionally hiring an Aboriginal person to work with you, or are you hiring anyone? Well, how are you
Our
inspiring
intentions are
people?
definitely trying to make sure that Aboriginal people are hired in our company, because we want to make sure that they get the support that they actually need, and I'm happy to definitely help them as much as we can. And also, we could definitely do a lot better for ourselves too, for our family, for our here in the Northern Territory, and also to make people come to the Northern Territory and talk with Aboriginal people about our language, our way of life, and all that sort of stuff, and give them a better understanding. But definitely having Aboriginal people to talk with on tours like we run, I think it's very, very important. Yes.
We want to give them an opportunity to feel proud about presenting the culture to visitors to the place. And there's certainly opportunity for that.
Yeah, sure. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much to both of you. I don't want to keep you anymore. I know you have to go. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
So my name is Mo. I'm the host on Talk With Mo show, based in Canada, Ontario, Canada. And I'm met you, Jess, and you've been our tour guide, driver of this massive coach there. And what's the capacity of that coach?
So that one's a 49-seater. We have up to 65 seats.
Oh wow! And you are driving that coach.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just impressed by how you've been driving the coach at your trust and being a tour guide, and you look awfully young. No disrespect, but you also have the sense of maturity about you. And I just wanted to speak with you and see I know that there are lots of young people out there that are wondering what to do for work. And I spoke with you about what to do for work and you shared your excitement with me, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with some of our viewers. So let's get to meet you. So I know you're Jess' last name.
Aitchison. Just Aitchison. Yeah.
Aitchison?
Yeah. I grew up in a family business where was tour operators, extended tours, day tours around Australia, and then also had tours around the world. And so there's a very, very strong positive force from that. I know lots of people that their parents probably don't expect them to go off and become coach drivers. They want them to go to university, and I thought that I was going to probably do that, and then that life had changed a bit, and I travelled overseas, spent a year as an exchange student with Rotary, and then after I came back from that, I sort of thought, university is not for me, maybe somewhere down the track, but for the moment I want to get out, and I love people, and I've gotten so into I really find coaches, it's such an interest of mine, and so coming out of COVID, obviously tourism changed quite a lot. Where I was in Australia, it was very in the east coast around Newcastle. It was quite dead at that time. There was no tourism, and so I thought, well, to apply for some jobs a little bit further out. Ended up applying to work at the resort at Uluru or Ezra. And from there, I've been there almost 2 years now.
Wow.
So started off first in the office, but I knew I was eventually going to become a driver. It's a little bit daunting at first, absolutely. Like in the same way, when you first start to drive, it's always a little bit concerning. Like it's, oh my God, there's so much to think about. But again, I had that really positive force behind me from my parents and my grandparents being coach drivers. And then I think because of COVID and all shortages of drivers and guides that have all gone off to retrain, it meant that tour companies are really eager to train up new people that often you may have taken a few steps to get to this point, but they really just wanted to encourage the next generation of drivers. And so they put a lot of effort and a lot of time and money into training up a whole group of new tour guides.
That's wonderful because, like you said, young next generation of drivers. And I look at you and I know you're young. You look young. Do you mind sharing with us how old you are?
So I'm 21.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sure there are other 21-year-olds in Australia somewhere wondering what to do for a job or what to do. How would you encourage them? What would your advice be to them?
I think it's definitely changed a bit. The idea of the grumpy old bus driver, it's definitely not true. There's so many people my age. I'm a little bit on the younger side in my depot by a few years, but there's people sort of in their early to mid 20s that are sort of, I think, changing the face of what a coach driver has to be, and so it's been quite nice seeing like already so many young people that I get to work with, but also like it's a bit scary at first. It's something often away from home. I moved away. I'm permanently out in Central Australia, which is a very remote area for a lot of the time, but it is very rewarding. You sort of have to know that it's going to be some parts of the job that you don't like, but it's the same in every job. Being able to go out and see these amazing places and meet so many different people, and every day is different, and it's always fun.
Yeah. What challenges are there in this job?
We do a lot of sunrise and sunsets. So
Yes, I know.
I
know that.
Getting up early, that's honestly sometimes some mornings that is very challenging. Definitely, interacting with guests, people with varying fitnesses, kind of, explain to guests they're in a completely different place, and trying to keep that sort of sense of understanding that all this is new to them, and so sometimes it just takes a bit, and maybe just remembering why you're doing it. And sometimes bring you back to, all right, this is actually just, it's a job for me, but also this is the one time that this person's ever going to see this place.
And so I know that in the past, driving trucks or big coaches like this used to be male-dominated industry. Is that still the same, or do you find more women coming into driving?
Well, there's definitely been, it has been for a long time, yes, very male-dominated. I know that there are quite a few really strong women that have been, that in the last few decades. I mean, my grandma used to drive the family coaches sometimes. So it's definitely that they have been around, and it depends also on what company. At AT Kings, one other one that done a really good job in encouraging people from all ages, genders, like just. If they want to give it a go and do it properly and put the effort in, then I'll encourage that.
Well, thank you so much, Jess. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you and for allowing us to speak with you and just sharing your story with us. I find you very inspiring, and I'm sure that you would have inspired some young women out there looking to work in your industry. So thank you.
People are often treated as a single entity. So if one person does wrong, we all blame for it. So we're human, as everyone else. But the history here in Australia has been a really bad one, and it's been denied. It was genocide. It was, it was frontier wars, and we're still struggling to teach that true story. 'Cause it hurts. Nobody wants to hear it. Of course. But it's a fact, and we need to acknowledge that first so that we can move forward and lose the stereotypes. And you know, people struggle because the most vulnerable, the most sad are vulnerable to addiction. Doesn't matter where you are, that's what we see all over the world, whether it's First Nations or anyone suppressed. You know,
The next one.
to find our feet, we've got to step away from a sort of a handout situation, more of a hand up, which is what we've succeeded here.
Doing here.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that you are white.
Yeah.
How do you identify, Aboriginal or Indigenous?
I do as Aboriginal. I don't like the word Indigenous because it's often referred to plants and animals. And up until about the referendum in 1967, Aboriginal people were wildlife and treated as such, treated poorly. You know, I know in some places, you know, people don't, Aboriginal mob don't like natives so much here in Australia, but I know in the US they prefer native or Indigenous, obviously over Indian. But yeah, it fluctuates to who you're talking to. A lot of people are now just referring to themselves as their language group. You know? I'm Wiradjuri. Obviously, I've got bloodlines in. I've got Scandinavian. I've got European. I've got a little bits of everything. But I'm here, and this is the country. This is where I feel. This is where I walk. So this is what I acknowledge. And everywhere I've travelled through a lot of Aboriginal communities. I just sat down quiet. Like I said, the struggle people have with being quiet. That's how you learn. You walk in asking a million questions, you learn nothing. You sit down quiet and you listen for years, you learn a lot. Because then you're able to ask the right question, and people then open up to you and educate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you think is the biggest misconception about Aboriginal people that you would like to correct? What misconception would you like to correct?
We aren't a single nation, you know. We are made up of 500 different countries and different language groups, and there is no one Aboriginal anything, you know. We've all got variations on how we think, and you know, the dreaming isn't a time frame. It isn't a creation period as such. It's a thinking. It's a world point of view, and it's a reason why that billabong exists over there. It's a reason why that tree's there. It's a reason why we read an interaction with wildlife and come back and say, you know, this is going to happen. You know, that bird singing out, there's family coming, or that bird singing out means there's death coming. Or, you know, that totem, that's my daughter. I better make a phone call. You know, and that's that dreaming. And it's not a time frame that happened. You know, it's not mythology. It's as much as a reason why a Christian believes.
This is your history.
Yeah, it's a history.
It's your history.
It's a world point of view. It's a mindset. And,
As a people, do you think that your skin color puts you in a different place than Selena, who is a darker person, for example?
Oh, for sure. We the fairer the skin, you sort of suffer a bit from what they call that.
Racism?
Yeah, you suffer racism from both sides.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But you risk falling into doubting yourself, and it's a bad sort of circle. And it's a personal thing. I know Aboriginal mob that know very little about the old story, but that's what they want to know, you know. And you got other people like myself who have chased it everywhere to know who we are. Each their own, you know, each their own, you know. Not everyone's going to jump out and fly the flag and be loud, but we all try to do our own thing.
Yeah. Well,
it's a time for education, not fighting. So I think we're winning slowly. Too often it's old mate lighting the fire wants to light it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when there's a 40k wind because it'll burn fast and it'll be over and done with and I'll get my 5 o'clock beer. I don't drink, so I'm happy to light the fire at 5 o'clock and walk with it because at 4 o'clock knowing that at 4:30 the wind drops off and it slows the fuel down and it trickles. And the sun sets, the moisture, the dew sets and it goes out and you wake up in the morning and you've got the perfect clear country and 3 days later there's green grass back. There's a whole lot we need to learn from those old stories, and the fuel has changed, so going completely back that way is not going to be the answer either. Up here we've got grass from Africa that grows 4 metres tall. The grass you see long around here is going to fall over in a couple of months and your fuel's knee high, but that exotic grass is still 4 metres high and it burns hot. You've got fuel loads of 2 tonne per hectare, and you're looking at exotic fuel loads of 20 and 30 tonne per hectare.
Is that the buffalo grass? Is it?
No, the buffalo grass Central Australian, that's Gambler grass up here in the top. Yeah. Buffalo grass was brought to stop cattle feed, but also to stop the dust storms. And it's changed everything. It provides no cover for the wildlife and its benefits and stuff. I've burnt a lot of buffalo.
Adam, you're saying that the culture of the Aboriginal people is verbal,
Yeah.
and so it's important to ensure the continuity of that culture, right? By telling the stories. I wonder what are you doing to, or how intentional are you about passing on that continuity?
My story is the very beginning. It's the bare surface of what we do. It's big, it's small, but we're just trying to introduce questioning of what's happening around us, I guess. People do something for generations, and that's what you do, but it's not necessarily the right thing to do. So I want to introduce that concept of just asking why and going back and questioning what we're doing and seeking out that old knowledge. Today a lot of our information is recorded. It's written down. It's been recorded. That's our grandparents recorded their stories in the hope that it was available to us grandkids so that we could keep that. But we're having to fight to get that information from the people who recorded it. That's sharing knowledge is difficult because people lock it up and they make it theirs, and that's it's greed and it's ego and all this other stuff. There's a level to everything. You don't teach everyone the old level. You start off with the primary school age, and that same story changes as you grow. And some people don't get past 20, in their levels. There's scientists in our culture that know a lot more than what the mainstream will know, and that'll never be told to just anyone. Because it's dangerous. Like, you can't give someone a scalpel and say, this is what we do to remove a kidney. There you go. There's a whole lot more behind that, eh? That scalpel will do the deed, but it won't do the job. It'll open flesh. So, look, all I'm asking for is when people, if you're living on country, you see the fuel loader build up, and the old cockies were good at lighting fires at the right time of year because the Aboriginal mob were the ones that brought that knowledge on how to farm here. That British style of farming doesn't work. We shouldn't have sheep. We should have been farming emus and kangaroos, but then we can't be trusted not to alter them to do something different with backside this round. All the kangaroo meat available to us in Australia is wild caught. There's no farm kangaroos because we can't be trusted to change it and to jump the fence and then change the wild kangaroo. It's all wild hunts. But it's a leaner food. We've got more goats in Australia than anything else, and they're probably worth more than a sheep today. Because everyone wants to eat goat, and we export it. Really in Copper Bay, he's singing out for sure here, hey? He's saying that someone shouldn't be here, someone not from here.